Shaquille O'Neal stood outside his daughter's school, his towering frame drawing stares from passing students. The office had called. Amira hadn't returned to class after lunch. His heart raced as he searched the hallways, finally hearing faint sobs from the girls' bathroom. Gently pushing the door open, he found her sitting on the floor, tears streaming down her face. "Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I saw something bad." Before continuing this amazing story, let us know where you're watching from. Also subscribe to the channel for daily notification of upcoming stories. Let's begin the story. Amira O'Neal, a 15-year-old high school student, is the spitting image of her father, Shaquille O'Neal. She's tall for her age, standing at 6 feet 1 inch, with long braids that she often ties up during basketball practice. Her bright smile and confident demeanor make her popular among her peers, but today, her usual cheerfulness is gone. Amira loves basketball, just like her dad. She's the star player of her school team, and her dream is to play in the WNBA. But lately, something has been bothering her. She's noticed her math teacher, Mr. Carter, acting strangely around certain students. One afternoon, after basketball practice, Amira stays behind to help clean up the gym. As she's putting away the equipment, she hears muffled voices coming from the storage room. Curious, she peeks inside and sees Mr. Carter arguing with a student, Mia, who looks terrified. Amira's heart races. She doesn't know what to do. She quietly leaves the gym, her mind spinning. Should she tell someone? What if no one believes her? Shaquille O'Neal, or Shaq as everyone calls him, is a giant of a man. At 7 feet 1 inch, he towers over most people, but his warm smile and gentle demeanor make him approachable. After retiring from the NBA, Shaq became a sports analyst and businessman, but his most important role is being a dad. When Shaq receives the call from Amira's school, his protective instincts kick in. He rushes to the school, his mind racing with worry. What could have happened to his little girl? As he searches the hallways, he hears faint sobs coming from the girls' bathroom. He gently pushes the door open and finds Amira sitting on the floor, her face streaked with tears. "Amira, baby, what's wrong?" Shaq asks, kneeling beside her. Amira looks up at her dad, her eyes filled with fear. "Dad, I saw something bad." Shaq's heart skips a beat. "What did you see?" Amira hesitates, then whispers, "I saw Mr. Carter. He was hurting someone, a student, in the storage room." Shaq's face hardens. Mr. Carter is a well-respected teacher. Could this be true? Mr. Carter, the math teacher, is a middle-aged man with slicked-back hair and a confident smile. He's known for being strict but fair in class. However, behind closed doors, he's a different person. A few weeks earlier, Mr. Carter had called Mia, a shy and quiet student, to his desk after class. "Mia, your grades are slipping," he said, his voice low. "If you want to pass, you'll need to put in extra effort. Meet me after school tomorrow." Mia nodded nervously, not knowing what to expect. The next day, she stayed behind, and Mr. Carter led her to the storage room. What happened next was something Mia would never forget. Mia is a petite 14-year-old with curly hair and glasses. She's shy and introverted, often keeping to herself. After the incident with Mr. Carter, she becomes even more withdrawn. Amira notices the change in her friend and decides to talk to her. "Mia, what's wrong? You've been acting strange lately." Mia hesitates, then bursts into tears. "Amira, I can't tell anyone. He said he'd ruin my life if I did." Amira's heart breaks for her friend. "Mia, you have to tell someone. This isn't right." Mia shakes her head, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. He's powerful. People believe him, not me." Amira takes Mia's hand. "I believe you, and my dad will too. We'll figure this out together." Shaq decides to investigate quietly. He talks to other students, gathering information about Mr. Carter. Some students mention that Mr. Carter has been acting strangely, while others defend him, saying he's a great teacher. One student, Jake, a senior on the basketball team, tells Shaq, "Mr. Carter's always been cool with me. I don't know what Amira's talking about." Another student, Sarah, a quiet girl in Amira's class, says, "I've seen him get really close to some students. It's weird." Shaq listens carefully, piecing together the information. He knows he needs more evidence before he can take action. Shaq meets with the school principal, Mrs. Johnson, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s. She's hesitant at first, but agrees to review the security footage with Shaq. As they sit in her office, Mrs. Johnson pulls up the footage from the day of the incident. The video shows Mr. Carter leading Mia into the storage room. The student looks terrified. Mrs. Johnson's face turns pale. "This is unbelievable. Mr. Carter has been here for years." Shaq's voice is firm. "Believe it. My daughter doesn't lie." Mrs. Johnson sighs. "We'll need to involve the authorities, but we have to be careful. Mr. Carter has a lot of support in this community." Amira struggles with the weight of what she's seen. She confides in her best friend Lisa, who's been her rock since elementary school. "Lisa, I don't know what to do," Amira says, her voice shaking. "What if no one believes us? What if Mr. Carter gets away with it?" Lisa puts a comforting arm around Amira. "You did the right thing by telling your dad. He'll know what to do. And I'm here for you, no matter what." Amira nods, but the fear doesn't go away. She knows this is just the beginning. Shaq continues his investigation, talking to more students and staff. He learns that Mr. Carter has been at the school for over a decade and is well liked by many. However, a few students share troubling stories. One girl, Emily, says, "He always stands too close when he's helping me with math problems. It makes me uncomfortable." Another student, David, recalls, "He yelled at me once for no reason. It was like he was a completely different person." Shaq takes note of everything, determined to build a strong case against Mr. Carter. Amira and Mia revisit the storage room, hoping to find more evidence. They search the small, cluttered space, looking for anything that might help their case. Mia points to a corner. "That's where it happened." Amira's heart aches for her friend. "We'll make sure he pays for what he did." As they search, they find a small notebook hidden under a stack of boxes. Inside are notes in Mr. Carter's handwriting, detailing his interactions with students. Some of the entries are chilling. "This could be the evidence we need," Amira says, clutching the notebook. Shaq decides to confront Mr. Carter directly. He waits outside the teacher's classroom after school, his towering presence impossible to ignore. "Mr. Carter, we need to talk," Shaq says, his voice low and steady. Mr. Carter forces a smile. "Of course, Mr. O'Neill. What can I do for you?" Shaq shows him the footage and the notebook. Mr. Carter's face turns pale. He stammers, trying to explain, but the evidence is undeniable. The school is in shock as news of Mr. Carter's arrest spreads. Students and staff struggle to process what's happened. Amira and Mia find solace in each other, their bond stronger than ever. "Thank you for believing me," Mia says, tears in her eyes. Amira hugs her friend. "Always." The school hallway is eerily quiet as Shaq makes his way to Mr. Carter's classroom. The fluorescent lights flicker overhead, casting long shadows on the walls. Shaq's footsteps echo as he walks, his mind racing with thoughts of what's about to happen. He pauses outside the classroom door, taking a deep breath. Inside, he can hear Mr. Carter humming softly, the sound of paper shuffling. Shaq pushes the door open, his towering frame filling the doorway. Mr. Carter looks up, his smile faltering for a moment before he regains his composure. "Mr. O'Neill," he says, his voice smooth but with a hint of nervousness. "What brings you here?" Shaq doesn't waste time. He places the security footage and the notebook on Mr. Carter's desk. "We need to talk." Mr. Carter glances at the items, his face paling. "What's this?" "You know exactly what it is," Shaq says, his voice low and steady. "I've seen the footage. I've read your notes. It's over, Carter." Mr. Carter forces a laugh, but it sounds hollow. "I don't know what you're talking about. This is some kind of misunderstanding." Shaq steps closer, his presence overwhelming. "Don't play dumb with me. You hurt those kids. You hurt my daughter's friend. And now you're going to pay for it." Mr. Carter's facade begins to crack. He sits down heavily in his chair, running a hand through his slicked back hair. "You don't understand," he says, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I was just under a lot of stress." Shaq's eyes narrow. "Stress? That's your excuse? You think that justifies what you did?" Mr. Carter looks up at Shaq, his eyes pleading. "I'm a good teacher. I've helped so many students. This was a mistake. I'll make it right, I swear." Shaq shakes his head. "It's too late for that. You had your chance to do the right thing, and you blew it." The door opens, and Mrs. Johnson, the school principal, walks in. She looks between Shaq and Mr. Carter, her expression grim. "Mr. Carter," she says, her voice firm, "we've reviewed the evidence. The police are on their way." Mr. Carter's face crumples. "You can't do this to me. I've dedicated my life to this school." Mrs. Johnson crosses her arms. "And you've betrayed the trust of everyone here. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about protecting our students." The sound of sirens fills the air as police cars pull up to the school. Students and staff gather in the hallways, whispering and pointing as officers make their way to Mr. Carter's classroom. Shaq steps aside as the police enter, his arms crossed. He watches as Mr. Carter is read his rights and handcuffed. The teacher's confident demeanor is gone, replaced by a look of sheer panic. "You can't do this," Mr. Carter shouts as he's led away. "I'm innocent." But no one believes him anymore. Amira and Mia watch from a distance as Mr. Carter's taken away. Mia's eyes are wide with shock, while Amira's face is a mix of relief and sadness. "It's over," Amira says softly, putting an arm around Mia. "He can't hurt anyone anymore." Mia nods, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Amira. I don't know what I would have done without you." Amira smiles, though her heart is heavy. "We did it together." Later that evening, Shaq sits in his living room staring at the fireplace. The events of the day replay in his mind, and he can't shake the feeling of unease. Amira walks in, her face pale but determined. "Dad, are you okay?" Shaq looks up at his daughter, his heart swelling with pride. "I'm fine, baby. Just thinking about everything that happened." Amira sits down beside him. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Shaq puts an arm around her. "We did what we had to do. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't easy, but it's always worth it." Amira nods, leaning into her father's embrace. "I'm glad you believe me." Shaq kisses the top of her head. "Always, baby. Always." The school is in shock as news of Mr. Carter's arrest spreads. Students and staff gather in small groups, whispering and speculating about what happened. The once bustling hallways are now filled with tension and unease. Amira and Mia sit together in the cafeteria, their lunch trays untouched. Mia's hands tremble as she picks at her food, her eyes darting around the room. "Are you okay?" Amira asks, her voice soft. Mia nods, but her eyes tell a different story. I can't believe it's really over." Amira reaches out and takes Mia's hand. It is. He can't hurt anyone anymore. The next day, the school holds an assembly to address the situation. The gymnasium is packed with students and staff, all eager to hear what the principal has to say. Mrs. Johnson steps up to the podium, her face serious. As many of you know, there has been a disturbing incident involving one of our teachers. I want to assure you that the school is taking this matter very seriously. She pauses, looking out at the sea of faces. We are committed to creating a safe environment for all of our students. If anyone has any concerns or needs to talk, please don't hesitate to reach out to a trusted adult. The room erupts in murmurs as students process the news. Amira and Mia sit together, their hands clasped tightly. Shaq takes it upon himself to advocate for student safety. He meets with the school board, urging them to implement stricter policies and better training for staff. "We can't let something like this happen again," Shaq says, his voice firm. "Our kids deserve to feel safe at school." The board members listen intently, nodding in agreement. "We'll do everything we can to make sure this never happens again," one of them promises. Amira and Mia begin to heal from the trauma they've experienced. They spend more time together, leaning on each other for support. One afternoon, they sit together in the park, the sun shining down on them. Mia takes a deep breath, her face calm for the first time in weeks. "Thank you, Amira," she says softly. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Amira smiles, her heart swelling with pride. "We did it together, and we'll keep moving forward, one step at a time." The news of Mr. Carter's arrest spreads like wildfire through the community. Parents, teachers, and local leaders are shocked and outraged. The school, once a place of trust and learning, now feels like a battleground of emotions. Shaq becomes the face of the movement for change. He uses his platform as a former NBA star and public figure to call for action. The next day, he organizes a town hall meeting at the local community center. The room is packed with parents, students, and concerned citizens. Shaq stands at the podium, his towering presence commanding attention. "What happened at our school is unacceptable," he begins, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Our children deserve to feel safe. They deserve to be protected, and it's our responsibility to make sure that happens." The crowd erupts in applause, their faces a mix of anger and determination. One parent stands up, her voice trembling. "What are we supposed to do now? How do we trust the school again?" Shaq nods, understanding her fear. "We start by holding people accountable. We demand transparency. And we work together to create a system where no child has to suffer in silence." Local organizations quickly mobilize to offer support. A nonprofit focused on child safety hosts workshops for parents and students, teaching them how to recognize signs of abuse and how to report it. Counselors from a nearby mental health clinic set up temporary offices at the school, offering free sessions to anyone who needs them. Amira and Mia attend one of the workshops together. They sit in the front row, listening intently as the speaker explains the importance of speaking up. "It's not easy to come forward," the speaker says, her voice gentle but firm. "But your voice matters. You have the power to make a difference." Mia looks at Amira, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I'm glad we spoke up," she whispers. Amira smiles, squeezing her friend's hand. "Me too." The local news picks up the story, shining a spotlight on the school's response. Reporters interview students, parents, and staff, asking tough questions about how this could have happened. Shaq agrees to an interview with a popular news anchor. They sit in the school's library, the cameras rolling as the anchor asks, "Mr. O'Neill, what do you say to parents who are afraid to send their kids back to school?" Shaq leans forward, his expression serious. I say this: we can't let fear control us. What happened here is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that we have to be vigilant, that we have to protect our kids at all costs. But we also have to trust that change is possible. The interview airs that evening, and the response is overwhelming. People from all over the country reach out to offer support, and the school becomes a symbol of resilience and hope. The school board holds an emergency meeting to address the situation. Shaq is invited to speak, and he doesn't hold back. We need stricter policies, he says, his voice echoing through the boardroom. We need better training for teachers and staff, and we need to create a culture where students feel safe to speak up. The board members listen intently, their faces grim. By the end of the meeting, they unanimously vote to implement new safety measures, including mandatory background checks for all staff and regular training on recognizing and reporting abuse. As the weeks pass, the school begins to heal. Students and staff come together, determined to create a safer and more supportive environment. Amira and Mia stand at the center of it all, their bond stronger than ever. They spend more time together, leaning on each other for support. One afternoon, they sit together in the park, the sun shining down on them. Mia takes a deep breath, her face calm for the first time in weeks. "Thank you, Amira," she says softly. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Amira smiles, her heart swelling with pride. "We did it together, and we'll keep moving forward, one step at a time." The new school year begins with a sense of hope and renewal. The hallways are decorated with posters promoting kindness and respect, and students are encouraged to speak up if they see something wrong. Amira and Mia walk to class together, their heads held high. They know the road ahead won't be easy, but they're ready to face it together. Shaq continues to advocate for student safety, using his platform to raise awareness and push for change. He becomes a mentor to students at the school, offering guidance and support to anyone who needs it. One day, he sits down with Amira and Mia, his face filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you two," he says, his voice warm. "You showed incredible courage, and you made a difference." Amira smiles, her heart full. "We couldn't have done it without you, Dad." Shaq pulls them into a hug, his eyes shining with tears. "Always remember, you have the power to change the world. Never be afraid to use it." The school undergoes a significant transformation in the months following Mr. Carter's arrest. New policies are implemented, and the staff undergoes extensive training on recognizing and preventing abuse. The once tense atmosphere is replaced with a sense of hope and renewal. Amira and Mia walk through the hallways, their heads held high. They've become symbols of courage and resilience, inspiring their peers to speak up and stand together. "It feels different, doesn't it?" Mia says, looking around at the colorful posters promoting kindness and respect. Amira nods, a small smile on her face. "Yeah, it feels safe." Shaq continues to advocate for student safety, using his platform to raise awareness and push for change. He becomes a mentor to students at the school, offering guidance and support to anyone who needs it. One day, he sits down with Amira and Mia, his face filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you two," he says, his voice warm. "You showed incredible courage, and you made a difference." Amira smiles, her heart full. "We couldn't have done it without you, Dad." Shaq pulls them into a hug, his eyes shining with tears. "Always remember, you have the power to change the world. Never be afraid to use it." The community rallies around the school, offering support and resources to help students and staff cope with the aftermath. Local organizations host workshops on safety and mental health, and counselors are made available to anyone who needs them. Amira and Mia attend one of the workshops together. They sit in the front row, listening intently as the speaker explains the importance of speaking up. "It's not easy to come forward," the speaker says, her voice gentle but firm. "But your voice matters. You have the power to make a difference." Mia looks at Amira, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I'm glad we spoke up," she whispers. Amira smiles, squeezing her friend's hand. "Me too." Amira and Mia sit together on a bench in the park, the golden sunlight filtering through the trees. The air is crisp, and the sound of birds chirping fills the silence between them. It's been weeks since Mr. Carter's arrest, and while the scars of what happened are still fresh, the two friends are beginning to heal. Mia twirls a fallen leaf between her fingers, her gaze distant. "I keep thinking about that day," she says softly. "What if I hadn't said anything? What if no one believed me?" Amira turns to her, her expression gentle but firm. "But you did say something, and I believed you. That's what matters." Mia looks at her, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I didn't think anyone would listen. He was so powerful, so respected. Who would believe a kid like me?" Amira reaches out and takes Mia's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You're stronger than you think, Mia, and you're not alone. We're in this together, remember?" Mia nods, a small smile breaking through her tears. "Yeah, together." The two sit in comfortable silence for a while, the weight of their shared trauma slowly lifting. Amira breaks the silence first. "You know, my dad always says that the hardest part is speaking up. Once you do, the rest gets easier." Mia tilts her head, curious. "Do you think he's right?" Amira chuckles softly. "He usually is. But yeah, I think so. Speaking up was the hardest part for me too. But look at us now. We're here. And he's not." Mia's smile grows a little wider. "Yeah, we're here." A few days later, the school holds a special assembly to honor the bravery of Amira, Mia, and the other students who came forward. The gymnasium is packed, the air buzzing with a mix of excitement and solemnity. Shaq stands at the podium, his towering presence commanding the room's attention. "Today we celebrate courage," he begins, his deep voice resonating through the space. "The courage to speak up, to stand together, and to demand change." He pauses, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. What happened here was a wake-up call. It reminded us that we have to be vigilant, that we have to protect our kids at all costs. But it also showed us the power of unity, of standing together in the face of adversity. The room erupts in applause, the sound echoing off the walls. Amira and Mia sit in the front row, their hands clasped tightly. They exchange a glance, their eyes filled with pride and determination. Shaq continues, his voice growing softer, but no less powerful. "To the students who came forward, I want to say this. You are heroes. You showed us that no one is too small to make a difference, that no voice is too quiet to be heard." He looks directly at Amira and Mia, his eyes shining with pride. "And to my daughter, Amira, and her friend Mia, I want to say this. You are my inspiration. You reminded me what true strength looks like." The applause grows louder, the students and staff rising to their feet in a standing ovation. Amira and Mia stand too, their faces flushed with emotion. As the assembly comes to an end, Shaq steps down from the podium and joins Amira and Mia. He pulls them into a tight hug, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so proud of you two. You changed this school. You changed lives." Amira looks up at her dad, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. "We couldn't have done it without you, Dad." Shaq smiles, his eyes glistening with tears. "Always remember, true strength lies in speaking up, standing together, and never letting fear silence your voice." The three stand together, their bond stronger than ever. They've faced unimaginable challenges, but they've emerged stronger and more united. And, as they walk out of the gymnasium, side by side, they know that the future is bright. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know about your thoughts in the comment section. Also subscribe the channel for daily stories notification.